Welcome back to the Behavior Code. I'm Maria.
And I'm Gabriel. Today, we are diving into something that I think is, well, it's foundational to every single relationship you have.
Absolutely. And I want to start with a pretty bold statement, Gabriel. Here it is. People don't randomly disrespect you. They don't just wake up one day and decide to treat you poorly. They learn how.
Oof, that's a heavy one to open with. But it's true. They learn it from you.
Exactly. You teach people how to treat you. Think about this scenario. It's super common. You have a friend who is, let's say, chronically late. The first time they're 15 minutes late, you say, "Oh, it's fine, no worries."
Traffic, stuff happens, you give them grace.
Right, but then the next time it's 20 minutes and you wait. Maybe a little annoyed, but you don't say anything because you don't want to cause a fuss.
Before you know it, it becomes a known thing that they can show up 30, even 40 minutes late, and you'll just be there waiting.
You've taught them that your time isn't as valuable as whatever else they had going on. You've taught them that the consequence for being late is nothing.
And that's the lesson. Lesson one is complete. You didn't mean to teach it, but you did. And that right there is the core of what we're talking about today. And it's so insidious because it doesn't feel like a lesson. It feels like you're being nice. It feels like you're being flexible and understanding. But what's really happening is you're offering a silent masterclass in how to devalue your time.
What you allow. People are constantly, subconsciously testing the waters with us. They're figuring out our rules of engagement. If someone makes a passive aggressive comment and you laugh it off, what did you just teach them?
That it's okay. That's an acceptable way to communicate with you. Your silence or your passive acceptance is taken as approval. It's essentially giving them a green light.
Right, and this all ties into what psychologists call boundary psychology. It's the understanding that we are responsible for creating and maintaining invisible lines around us that dictate what is and isn't okay. They're like the instruction manual for how to be in a relationship with us.
That's a great way to put it, an instruction manual. And if you don't write the manual, people are just going to guess, and their guesses are going to be based on what's easiest and most convenient for them, not what's best for you.
Exactly. They'll default to their own settings. So if you don't provide clear instructions, you can't be surprised when they don't treat you the way you want to be treated. You haven't shown them how. Your actions or your inaction becomes the lesson plan.
It's crucial to clarify that this isn't a malicious or conscious process on their part. People aren't sitting around plotting how to best take advantage of you. It's more like they're subconsciously gathering data on what the rules are in your relationship with you. Every interaction is a data point. When you consistently don't voice your needs or dissatisfactions, the data overwhelmingly suggests that you don't have any. And let's be honest, what's easiest for most people is to take up as much space as you'll give them. It's human nature. We expand to fill the container we're put in. If you provide a container with no walls, don't be shocked when things get messy. And that lesson plan has a title: The Path of Least Resistance. People will naturally follow the easiest path. If the easiest path is to be 30 minutes late, or to dump extra work on you, or to make you the butt of a joke and there are no consequences, that becomes the established road. You've paved it for them. It's a powerful and, frankly, a somewhat terrifying concept because it puts the responsibility right back on us.
It does. It's easier to see other people as the bad guys, but so often we're the ones who handed them the script they're reading from.
So let's talk about where this shows up. I mean, the most obvious one is in romantic relationships.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the person who does all the emotional labor, the planning, the remembering of birthdays, the initiating of serious conversations, while their partner just coasts. That dynamic didn't just happen, it was created over time by one person repeatedly stepping up and the other repeatedly being allowed to step back.
Yeah, or the partner who makes jokes at the other's expense in front of friends. The first time it happens, if you just force a smile and stay silent, you've just approved the behavior. You've taught them, this is fine, you can do this to me.
And then it gets worse. It becomes a pattern, and a year later you're wondering why you feel so disrespected in your own relationship. It's because the foundation was built on disrespect being acceptable.
It shows up in the workplace in a huge way. I see this constantly. There's always that one person in the office who stays late every night, who picks up the slack for everyone else, who says yes to every project even when their plate is overflowing.
The reliable one.
Exactly. But what they've done is they've taught their boss and colleagues that their personal time has no value. They've taught them that they are the designated person for overflow work. So when a last-minute Friday at 5:55 p.m. project comes up, who do you think gets it?
Of course, they get it, and they resent it, but they still do it, reinforcing the lesson over and over and over again. My boundaries are weak, come on in.
And friendships too. Think of the friend who is always the therapist, the one who listens to everyone's problems for hours. But when they have a bad day and try to talk about it, their friends suddenly get busy or change the subject.
That's such a painful one, because you've established the dynamic as a one-way street. You taught them that your role in the friendship is to give support, not to receive it. And when you finally need it, the system breaks down because that's not what they learned the relationship was about.
It's an unspoken contract that you helped write, and now you're upset about the terms you implicitly agree to. It's maddening.
It really is. In all of these examples, the relationship, the job, the friendship, the person is left feeling like a victim. They feel used, unseen, disrespected. But the uncomfortable truth is that they were a co-creator of that dynamic. And we haven't even touched on the biggest one for so many people, family. Family dynamics are often the original classroom where we learn these lessons.
And it even happens in reverse with family. Think about adult children and their aging parent. The parent might still treat their 40-year-old son like he's 15, offering unsolicited advice, questioning his decisions, showing up unannounced. It's a pattern that was set in childhood. A co-creator, that's the key. So the big question is, why? Why do we do this? Why do we teach people that it's okay to treat us in ways that make us feel terrible?
Absolutely. Think about the child who is praised for being the easy one, the one who never complains, never asks for anything, and quietly handles their own problems. That child is being trained to believe that their needs are a burden. I think the number one reason, the biggest one, is a deep-seated fear of rejection. We believe that if we set a boundary, if we say no, if we say, hey, that's not okay with me, people will leave.
The fear of abandonment, it's primal. Our brains are wired to need social connection for survival, so anything that threatens that connection feels like a life or death situation, even if it's just telling your friend you can't listen to them vent for the third time this week.
Right. It feels catastrophic. And tied to that is the desire to be liked. We want to be the cool girl, the easygoing guy, the helpful colleague. We have this narrative that being agreeable and accommodating makes us valuable and lovable.
The disease to please, as it's often called. We think our worth comes from our utility to others. If I'm not doing things for people, if I'm not making their lives easier, then why would they keep me around? That question right there often comes from a place of low self-worth.
Totally. If you don't believe deep down that you are worthy of respect just for existing, then you'll feel like you have to earn your place by being endlessly accommodating. You believe your value is conditional. It's based on your yeses.
And this is so often rooted in our childhood. This isn't something we just picked up as adults. For many of us, we learned this dynamic at home. We learned that being the good kid meant not having needs, not causing trouble, not voicing dissent.
If you grew up in a household where your emotions were dismissed, or where love was conditional on your achievements or your compliance, you learn that your authentic self is inconvenient, so you suppress it. You become a people pleaser because that was your survival strategy.
It was a strategy that worked. It kept you safe. The problem is we carry that same strategy into our adult lives where it's no longer serving us. It's actually harming us. We're still playing by a set of rules from a game that ended a long time ago.
And sometimes we don't even realize we're doing it. We think, this is just who I am. I'm just a nice, helpful person. But there's a huge difference between kindness, which is genuine, and people-pleasing, which is rooted in fear. And another layer to that is conflict avoidance. Many people who grow up in high-conflict homes or homes where conflict was terrifying and explosive learn that the safest thing to do is make yourself as small as possible. Don't have opinions, don't have needs, just agree.
That's a critical distinction. Kindness comes from a place of abundance. People-pleasing comes from a place of deficit. You're giving to get approval, to avoid conflict, to secure your place.
And it always leads to resentment because you're giving with strings attached. And when people don't meet your unspoken expectations, you get angry. But you can't even be mad at them really because you're the one who created the situation. It's a vicious cycle.
So you end up trapped. But for most people who break out of this, there's a turning point, a moment where the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of changing.
Yes, the breaking point. It's often not a gentle awakening, it's a snap. It's that one last minute cancellation, that one extra project dumped on your desk, that one backhanded compliment that just hits wrong.
Right, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Suddenly, all the past instances of disrespect come rushing into your mind at once, and you see the pattern with absolute, painful clarity. You don't see it as a series of isolated incidents anymore. You see it as a systemic problem.
I had a client, let's call her Sarah, who was the ultimate team player at her job. She organized every birthday party, covered shifts for sick coworkers, trained every new hire without extra pay. She thought it would lead to a promotion.
The classic trap. She was teaching them she was a great helper, not a great leader.
Exactly. And the turning point came when a management position opened up. She was a shoo-in, she thought, but they gave it to an external candidate who had been there for 6 months. And when she asked her boss why, he said, and get this, "Oh, Sarah, you're just too valuable in your current role. We can't afford to lose you there."
Wow, in other words, you are so good at doing all the extra work for free that we're going to keep you right there.
That was her moment. She said it was like a light switch flipped. She realized all her niceness, all her accommodating behavior hadn't earned her respect. It had just made her exploitable. And in that moment, she just thought, never again.
That's the transformation. It's a profound internal shift from what can I do to make them happy to what do I need to do to respect myself. The focus flips from external validation to internal integrity.
And that never again is so powerful. It's a promise you make to yourself. It's the decision that your own well-being is no longer up for negotiation. And sometimes the turning point is quieter. I'm thinking of another person I know. Let's call him Mark. He had a best friend since childhood. And Mark was always the giver. He'd drive his friend to the airport, help him move, listen for hours about his problems, but it was never reciprocated.
Okay, so you have this realization, you're Sarah, and you've decided never again. What happens next? How do you actually change it? The patterns are so ingrained.
This is where the real work begins. The first, most important step is to start setting clear, verbal boundaries. You have to use your words. People aren't mind readers. You can't just silently fume and hope they get the message.
And that starts with the simple two-letter word that people pleasers are allergic to. No.
Yes, just no. Not no because I'm so sorry, I have this other thing, and just a complete sentence. No. Or no, I can't do that. No, that doesn't work for me. Start practicing it on small things. Can you help me move this weekend? No, I have other plans. You don't need to over-explain or justify.
Right. The over-explaining is a symptom of the disease. You're trying to manage their reaction. You have to let that go. Your no is enough.
The next step is to reinforce your new standards. So back to the late friend. The next time you make plans, you say, "Hey, I'd love to see you, but I only have an hour, so I really need us to meet at 7."
So you state the boundary up front, and then, and this is the crucial part, you have to enforce it. If they arrive at 7:20, you say, "Hey, great to see you. As I said, I have to leave at 8, so we've got 40 minutes." And then at 8, you leave.
Yes, that's the consequence. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion. It's just noise. By leaving at 8, you are teaching a new lesson. The lesson is, I respect my own time, and if you want to spend it with me, you need to respect it too.
This requires incredible consistency. You can't do it once and then go back to your old ways. You're retraining people who have been conditioned to treat you a certain way. It's like training a puppy. You have to be consistent with the rules. Let's give people a formula for this because it can feel so awkward in the moment. A good model is I feel X when you do Y, and what I need is Z. It takes the blame out of it and makes it about your experience.
It's so true. Every time you hold the boundary, you add a brick to your new foundation. Every time you let it slide, you're taking a brick away. For a while, it's going to feel wobbly and unnatural, but you have to keep at it.
And you have to be prepared for the fact that people will not like it, at first anyway.
Oh, let's talk about that, the pushback, because it's the number one thing that makes people give up.
When you change the rules of engagement, you disrupt a system. And people who benefited from the old system will resist that change. They have a vested interest in you staying the same.
Right. Your friend who was always late loved that you were endlessly patient. Your boss who piled on the work loved that you were endlessly available. You've just taken away a convenience from them, and they're going to notice.
This resistance can take many forms. It can be overt, like anger, what's got into you, you've changed. It can be guilt tripping, I guess I'll have to do this all by myself now. Or it can be subtle, like them repeatedly forgetting your new boundary to see if you'll enforce it. Oh, I didn't get that memo.
That's called a boundary test. They're poking at the fence to see if it's electrified. And this is the moment of truth. If you cave, you've just taught them that your boundaries are meaningless and that all they have to do is push a little bit to get what they want.
But if you hold firm, calmly, kindly, but firmly, you teach them something new. You teach them that the rules have genuinely changed. It is absolutely necessary to weather this storm of resistance.
And here's a really important reframe. The people who get the most upset about you having boundaries are the ones who are benefiting the most from you having none. Their negative reaction is actually proof that the boundary was necessary in the first place.
That's it. That is the whole thing. Their resistance is data. It's confirming your hypothesis that the dynamic was unbalanced. And you have to understand, some relationships may not survive this shift.
And that's okay. If a relationship was predicated on your lack of boundaries, it wasn't a healthy relationship to begin with. You weren't in a relationship with them, you were in a utility role for them. You're not losing a friend, you're losing a user. So when someone hits you with that guilt trip like, I can't believe you won't help me, you're being so selfish. How do you respond to that without either caving or escalating it into a huge fight?
The good news is that the people who truly respect you will adapt. They might be a little surprised at first, but they will adjust. And your relationships with them will become deeper and more authentic because they're now based on mutual respect, not your silent accommodation.
That's the ultimate goal. And this whole process leads to a much deeper change. It's not just about your behavior changing, it's about your entire identity shifting.
Say more about that. What do you mean by an identity shift?
Well, you move from being a person who is trying to set boundaries to a person who has boundaries. It becomes part of who you are. It's no longer a conscious, effortful act. It's your default setting.
You start to embody self-respect. It's not something you're asking for from others anymore. It's something you inherently possess, and you expect others to reflect that back to you.
Exactly. The validation moves from external to internal. You no longer need someone to approve of your no for it to be valid. Your own internal standard is what matters. You start to trust yourself more. Your decisions feel more solid because they're coming from a place of self-honor, not fear.
And that's a kind of quiet confidence that people can feel. You start to attract different kinds of people into your life. People who have their own healthy boundaries, who understand and value yours without you constantly having to defend them.
The whole ecosystem of your life changes because you've changed at the root. You've stopped sending out the signal that you're available for disrespect. You're broadcasting a new frequency, and the only people who can tune in are the ones who are on that same level of respect. It's a change in your energetic signature. Before, you might have had an energy that subtly screamed, please like me, or don't be mad at me. But as you build this muscle of self-respect, that energy shifts to one of quiet self-assurance. It's not loud or arrogant, it's just solid.
It really is a fundamental shift in how you move through the world. It's powerful stuff.
It is, and it brings us right back to where we started.
The core message: you teach people how to treat you. Every single day, with your actions and your inactions, you're giving lessons. You are the teacher.
So the question for everyone listening is, what are you teaching? Are you teaching that your time is infinitely flexible, that your energy is a free-for-all, that your needs come last? Or are you teaching that you are worthy of respect, consideration, and reciprocity?
This isn't about blaming yourself for past experiences. It's about empowering yourself for the future. You have the power to change the curriculum, starting today.
And that's our call to action for you this week. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Just reflect on one area, one relationship, one dynamic where you feel consistently drained or disrespected, and set one small, clear boundary.
Maybe it's telling your sibling you can't talk on the phone after 9 p.m. Maybe it's not answering work emails on a Sunday. Maybe it's telling a friend, I can't listen to complaints about your boss right now. I'm having a tough day myself.
Just one thing. Start the lesson today because you are worthy of being treated well. You just have to start teaching people that that's the only option.
That's all the time we have for today on the Behavior Code. I'm Gabriel.
And I'm Maria. Thanks for listening. Go be a great teacher.